the meditation, I just knew. And I remember hearing as I was coming out of it, like, you've got like about 6 months to prepare. There'll be 2 signs when it's time for you to leave, this whole, sex related industry type of work. And know that if you don't leave, like by that second sign, like your actual life or like your safety is in danger. And I remember it was about 2 to 3 months later, the first thing happened. And I'm very candid and, honest. And,
Yeah.
I remember like that, I'd always check my money, always do whatever. And, and verify everybody. For this one time though, I remember I didn't, the person was in a rush, whatever, certain things. And I remember checking it after and they'd already left the location. And I realized there was like, they had put a bunch of ones in between, say, a bunch of 20s. But when I went to go out the door to chase them out, they were already around the corner. And I was like, well, I'm, in a place that I don't want,
Yeah.
right? And so I said, okay.
Oh,
And then
my
I
gosh.
called, my psychic, the male I was working with at the time. And I said, hey, this happened. And he said, you know what? He said, be glad that you didn't catch it when he was there, because if you had, he would have beat you so bad that you would have been hospitalized for a really long time.
What?
And I found out a couple months later that this person, right, because what they would do is they'd verify with another provider, another woman, and then they would, and that's how they get their girl. They would just get enough women to be able to give them the okay, so their women believed they were safe.
So he's what they call them, hunters or something?
Mm-hmm. And then I found out there were cases, I mean, even happened to one of my girlfriends too, where she was beat very, very badly and
Wow.
horribly. And it took her weeks to recover from it. And it was, that situation. And so I started preparing, I started saving all my money. I began enrolling in classes for energy work and just really immersing myself kind of in, that whole life and preparing, like, okay, my lease will expire on this more expensive place. How will I downgrade my life and prepare? Because, if you're transitioning in such a way. And, at the same time, I was also investing a lot of money to exit that business into a fitness facility I was going to open with somebody else. And I'm talking 2 years now of consultant fees and, a few weeks away from signing a 5-year lease and having investors lined up and ready to go. And
wow,
all of this happening with a massive awakening. And I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, right? Meaning that like, that's kind of when that energy, they say, arises from, you pulls from your root chakra all the way up to the crown and it kind of explodes. They always say the spine is the gateway, right, to the heavens. And I remember that occurring, and then my gifts all of a sudden expanding times like 100 within a matter of weeks.
Wow.
And then I knew I couldn't stay in that business because I became so sensitive to energies, and I became, aware of what was happening in the transference of energy, through your sexual energy, etc. And I just knew, like, okay, I was changing, right? My vibration was changing from the inside out, but I was already preparing to leave. And around that time, that teacher came in and she really started to help me. I remember taking multiple certifications classes with her back to back. And she came in through a girl that I met at a random energy healing class I went to. And she was like, I'm hearing this is what you need to do. You need to take theta healing as well. You need to do whatever. And she did a couple sessions on me. And I remember just it being such a profound shift immediately that I was just like, whoa, whatever this is, I need to learn this. I need to be able to do this. This will help me manage my energy. And she's started to teach me how to work with my gifts. And so then I moved on to that teacher there. And she really was the best for me because I dealt with a lot of spiritual egoism in right. And we discussed this to where women would look at me and I'm just going to be me. Like, I'm going to dress the way I dress, wear makeup. They'd be like, why are you so dressed up? Where are you going? I'm like, this is just how I am, how I carry myself. I've always been a woman who is very feminine, wears dresses, likes to be a certain way, not to impress anyone, just because I like how I feel when I'm like that. And I remember so many people saying to me, oh, you can't, you're going to have to change your image, the way you dress. People won't take you seriously. And this teacher really resonated with me because she was the first one who like really said, well, who says that? Like, you don't have to own those beliefs. If you own that, right, you're then limiting yourself, and you're creating these programs for yourself that you can't have these things unless you're whatever. She's like, being authentic, being you, that's what is going to make you successful and give you rapport, right? She's like, and not everybody wants the person in the bohemian dresses that looks whatever. She's like, you'll get a certain type of people, or people who need someone real, or people who know like, hey, you can still have the material and be spiritual.
Well, that's part of the why I chose you. I saw you. I heard that you went from Playboy and Penthouse to Healer.
Yeah.
And I felt your vibe, and I was like, I have to contact her.
Right? Like, it's like I'm a real woman who's been through a lot of stuff and done things that, like, okay, I wouldn't say that I'm not proud of, because all of these things at the end of the day, I know my soul chose before coming in, this body chose and whatever. And most healers, especially women, have very strong sexual energy, whether it's a man or woman. A lot of that healing comes through having a very strong sacral chakra, strong sexual energy. It's just about how we use it, right? Or sometimes that power tries to be taken away. And so that's how I ended up on that path. The second time, the second sign I got was somebody tried to pull the same thing on me, but this time I was prepared, and I handled it in a certain way. He got scared and took off. And then I said, okay, that's it. And I quit. I quit all of that kind of like, business right there. I still had, like sugar daddy, somebody that was helping me, which I did transition away from several months later, and took the final leap. And I remember, going through and just praying every day, like, okay, if this is really my path, then you're going to have to help me. I have, here I am abandoning everything, a big income. And I remember just being told by like one of my teachers, like, don't worry, like, and even by my guides, like, if you just trust everything you're told, you'll have within like a year more clients than some people who've done this 10 years. And they were right. I never doubted any of the guidance. And even when it seemed insane and people thought I was crazy, I abandoned kind of that fitness facility business because I started to receive past life visions about the relationship between myself and that person. And I also saw the future of what happened if I continued with them. And I remember it was like right after the Kundalini awakening, and this person was so upset. And I said, well, I'll be honest, like if my investors, et cetera, want to work with you, you have the consultants thing, the business plan's ready, like you can have it. I don't want no money for anything I've invested. Go for it. I'm not going to compete.
Wow. And Carla, sorry, don't mind. I want to interject here just because you guys are going to hate me, but my Zoom came up saying I had 10 minutes left before the thing goes.
So I didn't realize
this is perfect because I know what I needed is the story. I needed to know it was possible. I needed the person. I needed to know that the reps were there, right? And I didn't have that. So this is perfect. This is what I literally, and I know this is what women around the world need to know, because we're not talking about this. But there's two things I want to visit real quick. But before I take us there, can you tell us where we can find you? Just that would make sure we get this part in.
Absolutely. I have a website, and it's Guided by Divine. So GUIDEDBYDIVINE.com. And then also I'm on Instagram, but my pictures are kind of crazy. And it's at Carla Maria XOXO, CARLAMARIA XOXO. And since I know we don't have a lot of time, like we can always continue on a time of meetup, but people can always look at my service on the website. And there's also like probably close to 100 testimonials there. And it says exactly what service people received, because it's kind of all across the board for people there.
And so I took down my Instagram, but I have to like give you a toast real quick. Her pictures are not crazy. She is doing her thing. She looks fabulous. She looks super sexy. Hi, goddess.
Thank you.
Like all the snaps. They're everything. They're everything. And oh no, now it's just 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so I don't even know if we're gonna get here, but how did you remind yourself of your inner beauty? Because I know with me, like I could see curls coming off my body. I told you about like the shower of energy coming out of my vagina. Literally when I cried, my body started smelling like sex. And I I bought this $20 coochie wash. Just I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, I know what I know what you're talking about. No, I
have like a magical smelling bubble because of that. But like literally trying everything, and men were like flocking to me, and I felt ugly. And even like I still kind of struggle with that. Even like, but even younger people always treated me differently. And looking at videos now, I can see I had that thing coming out of my vagina. Like, how did you remind yourself of your beauty when you were younger, being hurt, when you were going through your transformation, and even today?
When I was younger, I couldn't do it, and that's why I came out in drugs and addiction and things not very good. When I became older, it became about really forgiving others, but then also harnessing kind of my own power and taking my energy back, meaning that realizing and understanding like how to have authority over myself, my energy, create boundaries, and also learning to energetically create kind of control of my energy, meaning that not allowing others, learning how to shield it. And that's something I work with people that are intuitive or empathic, or just with women a lot, and even women that are still in those industries, right? Learning to shield, protect your energy, how to cleanse it, and how to have authority with people, right? Strong boundaries is a really big thing, because I always say authority with your energy is the biggest thing. I remember being taught somebody doesn't have to be in your physical space to steal your energy. So learning that. Once I started to own it and take it back for me and realize that, okay, my energy is strong and this is what people actually want from me. Yeah, it comes in this physical vessel, but what they really are feeding is the energy, right? Realizing like that energy is a beautiful thing. That's what makes me me, right? But how do I learn to have control over it, authority over it, not allow others to take it from me against my own free will? And that was the biggest thing. And then just also being okay with who I was, no matter what anyone thought or said or wanted to think or believe about me, and being like, that's okay. I know me at the core.
Wow, that's beautiful. And one last thing, so we're not going to get to the gods today, but one last what does it feel like? Because I want to give people like, you've done such an amazing job of giving us the picture of like the training planned through this, but to be at this part, to be in your gifts and be in your body, what does that moment feel like now?
It feels beautiful. It's empowering. I have immense gratitude for everything, everyone that has crossed my path in a good or a bad way, and the people that come to me now, and being able to help people in the way that I do. It feels empowering, and I'm always kind of in a place of gratitude, right? Like I'm a very happy person now, and I used to always be a really angry, bitter person for a long time of my life.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you. I know we all have our different walks, but the reps that you have done are on a whole nother level of training. I just want to thank you for being here and being the rep.
Thank you, sweetie. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you.
I feel so blessed. Hi, gorgeous. Jasmine here, checking in at the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast interview that I did with the gorgeous Carla Maria Cadotte a few years ago. Carla has an absolute heart of gold inside and out, and so while it's very vulnerable to have these moments here and captured, I know that so much of me is because what I've been able to see in her. And so hopefully by being vulnerable and putting these videos out there, it allows other women to tap into themselves as well too. I apologize if the video had to be split into 3. I'm only allowed a maximum of 15 minutes on this channel, so that's why I did that. However, if you want to listen to the full interview, just see it below. And over the years, as I've moved and traveled from place to place to place, I've interviewed different women along the way, and they've been so gracious to me to give me their stories of their journeys. So special thank you to Carla for sharing her story, and I hope this interview helped to lift you up. Have a beautiful day.